The world isn't run by geniuses in clean labs. It's run by accidental opportunists, garage sale visionaries, and lucky fools who tripped over gold. We tell ourselves that success is built on brilliance and grit. But what if the greatest fortunes are built on nothing? On rocks? On foam? On digital farts? Tonight, we descend into the glorious multi-billion-dollar abyss of human stupidity and the legends who monetized it. 1. The Adhesive of God. Spencer Silver wasn't trying to change the world. He was trying to make an absurdly strong adhesive for 3M in 1968. He failed, catastrophically, creating the opposite, a weak, low-tack glue that stuck to things but peeled off effortlessly, leaving no residue. It was a useless solution in search of a problem. For 5 years, 3M management told him to forget it, but Silver, in a fit of stubborn genius, kept preaching its virtues. The problem finally arrived via Art Fry, a fellow 3M scientist who was annoyed that his paper bookmarks kept falling out of his church hymnal. Fry coated his bookmarks with Silver's failed glue. The eureka moment wasn't in a lab. It was in a choir pew. The Post-it note was born, a billion-dollar empire built entirely on a magnificent screw-up. 2. The Un-Putty. War. It's the mother of invention, and sometimes its bizarre, unwanted cousin. Cut 2, 1943. The U.S. government desperately needs a synthetic rubber substitute for gas masks and tank treads. General Electric engineer James Wright gets to work. He mixes boric acid and silicone oil, hoping for a breakthrough. Instead, he creates a gelatinous, non-toxic mess. It bounced when dropped, stretched farther than taffy, and could copy newspaper comics. It was useless for the war effort, a complete failure. The blob was shelved until 1949, when a toy store owner saw its potential, encased it in a plastic egg, and named it Silly Putty. Over 300 million eggs have been sold since. It never saved a soldier, but it became the king of useless, satisfying desk toys. 3. The Gravity of Profit. This invention wasn't born of genius. It was born of clumsiness. In 1943, naval engineer Richard James was working on springs to stabilize sensitive equipment on ships during rough seas. He accidentally knocked one of the tension springs off a shelf. Instead of just clattering to the floor, the spring walked. It arced, coiled, and flipped end over end. It was a moment of pure, accidental physics. James saw it, not as a stabilization tool, but as a toy. He borrowed $500, dubbed it the Slinky, and debuted it at Gimbel's department store. The first 400 units sold out in 90 minutes. Over 300 million have been sold since, mesmerizing children with the simple, hypnotic power of gravity, and tangling themselves into unusable knots in closets worldwide. 4. The Patent That Lapsed. This story is a tragedy, or a masterclass in inertia, depending on your perspective. In 1993, Catherine Hettinger created a spinning toy from tape and newspaper to entertain her daughter. She patented the idea, a simple concentric disc that spun on a finger. She even pitched it to Hasbro, who summarily rejected it. Years went by. Nothing happened. In 2005, facing the $400 patent renewal fee, Hettinger let it lapse. Fast forward to 2017. The fidget spinner explodes across the globe, a $1 billion whirlwind hypnotizing an entire generation of Zoomers. Manufacturers, unburdened by Hettinger's expired patent, minted cash. She saw none of it. The universe, it seems, rewards inertia, just not always the right person's inertia. 5. The Drunk Octopus. How do you make $80 million? You find a sticky toy in a Beijing street market. That's what Ken Hakuta did in 1982. He stumbled upon the wacky wall walker, a sticky, octopus-shaped piece of elastomer that, when thrown at a wall, would slowly walk its way down, oozing like a drunk Spider-Man. Hakuta bought the rights for a few $1,000s and unleashed it on America. It became the defining fad of the 80s. Every kid had one. Every parent had the resulting dust-covered, lint-caked stains on their drywall. The toy's joy lasted about 8 seconds before it became a sticky piece of garbage. Hakuta, however, enjoyed a joy that lasted much longer. 240 million units sold and a fortune built on cheap rubber and gravity. 6. The Zen of Zero Effort. Cut 2. A bar. Mid-1970s California. Advertising executive Gary Dahl is listening to his friends complain about their actual, living pets. They shed, they bite, they need food. Dahl, fueled by barstool wit, jokes that he has the perfect pet, a rock. The joke should have died there, but an idea sparked. Dahl went home and drafted the Pet Rock Training Manual, a masterpiece of deadpan humor describing how to teach the rock to sit, stay, and by placing it in water, roll over. He packaged smooth Rosarito beach stones in cardboard carriers with air holes for comfort and sold them for $3.95. In 6 months, Dahl sold 1.5 million rocks, becoming an instant millionaire. It was the ultimate Zen punchline, selling literal, worthless geology by wrapping it in pure, unadulterated marketing genius. 7. The Riverfront Nightmare. Some ideas are born from beauty. This one was born from an animatronic fish. In 2000, Joe Pelletieri created Big Mouth Billy Bass, a rubber fish bolted to a plastic plaque, which, at the press of a button, would turn its head and croak, "Take me to the river." It was the definition of redneck kitsch, a novelty item destined for dive bar bathrooms. Instead, it became a cultural tidal wave. It was everywhere, in offices, in homes, even reportedly on the wall of Al Green himself. The fish made over $100 million. It was part joke, part annoyance, all profit. Who knew that the soundtrack to America's descent into madness would be a synthetic largemouth bass? 8. The Plastic Revolution. Before 1958, a hoop was just a hoop. Then, Whammo, the company that would later bring us the Frisbee, got a tip about Australian kids twirling bamboo rings for exercise. Arthur Spud Meelan and Richard Knerr saw an opportunity. They didn't invent the hoop, they perfected it. They made it from hollow, brightly colored polyethylene. They called it the hula hoop. What followed was not a fad. It was global hypnosis. In just 4 months, 25 million hoops were sold. The world lost its collective hips. It was, quite literally, a ring of plastic and shame, a useless toy that did nothing but spin. And it made its inventors obscenely, filthy rich. 9. The Plush Tulip Bubble. Ty Warner didn't sell toys to children. He sold investments to delusional adults. In the 1990s, Beanie Babies transcended toy and became collectible, a word that makes sane people see dollar signs. Warner masterfully manipulated scarcity, retiring certain animals to create manufactured panic. Adults, convinced a $5 bean-stuffed animal would one day fund a Harvard education, stampeded toy stores. They bought Princess the Bear as a memorial to Diana, then sealed it in Tupperware, hoping for a windfall. Spoiler, it never came. The bubble burst, leaving millions with closets full of worthless polyester. But not before Ty Warner, the man behind the plush toy pyramid scheme, became a billionaire. 10. The Badge of Bizarre Pride. In 1957, suburbia was a sea of beige conformity. Then, Donald Featherstone, a sculptor with a classical art degree, was hired by a plastics company and given a simple task: create a 3D lawn ornament. His subject? The flamingo. He sculpted a bird of impossible pinkness, a caricature of nature jammed onto a metal stake. It was meant to be a simple decoration. Instead, it became a cultural icon, a defiant badge of bad taste, a piece of pop art kitsch planted in lawns as a bizarre statement of pride. Millions were sold. They defined an entire aesthetic of American tackiness. Featherstone won the Ig Nobel Prize for Art in 1996. Taste, it turns out, is subjective. Profit, however, is not. 11. The Harry Potter. Joseph Pedot was a marketing man who found a weird product: a terracotta planter shaped like a head, imported from a small village. Its original name was the Bald Man. Pedot, a genius of jingles, knew he could do better. He slapped on a packet of chia seeds, creating the illusion of rapidly sprouting green hair, and filmed a low-budget commercial. He drilled 2 words into the American psyche. Ch-ch-chia. The chia pet was born. Since the 80s, over 15 million have been sold, in forms from hedgehogs to Homer Simpson. It's horticultural nonsense. It's a houseplant that looks like Cousin It on a keto diet. And it's a machine for minting cash from terracotta and arugula-grade fuzz. 12. The Cabbage Patch Riots. Xavier Roberts didn't just sell dolls. He sold adoptions. The Cabbage Patch Kids of 1983 weren't manufactured. They were born in a patch, each with a unique name and adoption papers. This stroke of marketing genius turned parents into feral animals. The Cabbage Patch Riots were real. Adults threw punches, trampled neighbors, and wielded baseball bats in toy aisles, desperate to adopt one of these fabric-headed, vaguely unsettling orphans for $30. The dolls cost about $3 to make. Roberts, the soft sculpture artist who started it all, watched the chaos from his 17th-century Georgia mansion, funded entirely by faux orphans and mass hysteria. 13. The Red Menace. Sometimes, a toy isn't just a toy. It's a catalyst for mob violence. Cut to 1996. The must-have Christmas item is Tickle Me Elmo, a fuzzy red Muppet that, when squeezed, would cackle and vibrate. Demand massively outstripped supply, a classic retail strategy. The result? Stampedes. A Walmart employee in New Brunswick was trampled by a mob of 2,000 shoppers and suffered a broken rib. Scalpers, sensing blood in the water, flipped the $30 toy for $1,500. Elmo laughed, parents wept, and the toy's inventor, Ron Dubrin, watched his royalties giggle all the way to the Cayman Islands. It was proof that all you need for a financial windfall is polyester, a laugh box, and the desperation of the American parent. 14. The Vinyl Idols. Funko Pops are the Beanie Babies of the 21st century, but this time the collectors are adults who call themselves nerds. These vinyl figures are essentially bobble-headed rectangles, defined by their dead, black eyes and lack of articulation. They're glorified paperweights. Yet, the company has weaponized fandom. By licensing everything, from The Office to the Golden Girls to obscure breakfast cereal mascots, they've created a collector's nightmare. Adults now mortgage storage units to house thousands of these $12 figures, convinced their collection is an investment. It's not. It's a vinyl graveyard. But for the company, minimal articulation has led to maximal capitalization. Big eyes, it turns out, equal big earnings. 15. The Irony Loop. Once upon a time, an ugly Christmas sweater was a sincere, horrifying gift from a well-meaning grandmother. It was a badge of seasonal shame. Then, sometime in the early 2000s, irony infected the culture. Ugly sweater parties became a trend. An entire industry, led by brands like Tipsy Elves, materialized overnight. They didn't just sell old ugly sweaters. They manufactured new ones, complete with flashing LEDs, built-in bottle openers, and llamas in compromising positions. Adults now happily drop $60 to look like a malfunctioning tree ornament. Santa may check his list twice, but accountants just keep counting the sweater revenue until the eggnog curdles. 16. The Sound of Profit. The whoopee cushion is not a complex invention. It is a rubber bladder that, when inflated and sat upon, weaponizes flatulence. It has been pumping out revenue since 1930, when employees at Canada's Gem Rubber Company were experimenting with scrap rubber sheets. The sound it produced was undeniable. It's the lowest form of humor, a gag that embarrasses Thanksgiving guests and delights 10-year-olds. And it never stops selling. Gem Rubber and countless imitators crank them out by the millions. Every hot, embarrassing hiss is a tiny cash register ding. It's the rare product where pre-sale gas guarantees post-sale gas, a perfect self-perpetuating loop of lowbrow profit. 17. The Billion-Dollar Grin. Jonah White saw opportunity where the dental industry saw. Well, nothing. He saw a market for fake, grotesque, buck-toothed smiles. His Billy Bob teeth turned America into a nation of part-time rednecks and full-time novelty shoppers. The product is simple. A set of acrylic dentures that look like they've lost a fight with both a tractor and basic hygiene. Yet, they've generated over $1 billion in sales. It's a staggering figure. It proves that while some people spend fortunes trying to fix their teeth, an equal number are willing to pay good money to look like they don't have any. The American dream, it seems, has a severe overbite. 18. The Emperor's New Water. Water is a basic human right, unless you're Perrier. In the 1970s, Americans drank water from the tap. It was free. Then, Perrier, with a stroke of marketing brilliance, decided to sell this free substance in a green glass bottle. From France. They didn't just sell water, they sold status. They sold elegance. They took a mundane liquid, bubbled it up, and convinced a generation that sipping it from a glass bottle was a sign of sophistication. The illusion worked. A billion-dollar bottled water industry was born from thin air, or rather, from a spring in Vergès. It sparkles to this day, a testament to the fact that you can sell anything if you just make it look European. 19. The Raccoon-Chic Scam. Pre-ripped jeans. This is not an invention, it is a subtraction. At some point, brands like Levi's had a stunning realization. They could take a brand new pair of pants, subject them to industrial sandblasting, attack them with lasers, and rip them to shreds, and then charge more for the privilege. Fashionistas and teenagers worldwide eagerly paid a premium to look like they had just lost a fight with a raccoon, or survived a harrowing industrial accident. It's the ultimate grift, selling damage as a feature. While denim purists wept, corporate accountants made bank, proving that distressed wasn't just a look, it was a wildly profitable state of being. 20. The Invisible Export. If selling French water is smart, what's selling Canadian air? In 2015, Moses Lam and Troy Paquette founded Vitality Air. Their product? Cans of fresh, clean mountain air from the Canadian Rockies, complete with a breathing mask. Their target market? Citizens in smog-choked cities across Asia. For $30, you could buy a can of nothing, invisible gas shipped halfway around the planet. And it sold. It sold out. The eco-irony is so thick you could bottle it, and they probably will. Lam and Paquette are literally inhaling profits faster than their customers can inhale Banff, proving the old adage, a sucker is born every minute and he's desperate for oxygen. 21. The Existential Punchline. This is the pinnacle of the selling nothing economy. Dehydrated water. It's an old gag, a novelty item that still rakes in dollars. It arrives in a can, often with one simple instruction. Just add water. Congratulations. You've just reinvented water. The brilliance isn't in the product. It's in the audacity of the label. The original distributors discovered that you can legally sell an empty can, so long as you label it with sufficient irony. Consumers who buy it aren't just buying a gag gift. They are purchasing a piece of existential comedy, plus shipping and handling. It's the ultimate minimalist product, 100% profit margin, 0% content. 22. The Gift of Nihilism. What do you get for the person who has everything? Rob Liefeld, founder of Nothing, had the answer. A literal, empty, plastic-wrapped box. For $5 a pop, his company sold. Nothing. Just an empty space, marketed as the perfect present. And in a stunning victory for nihilism, he sold hundreds of thousands of them. Customers weren't just buying a joke, they were buying a statement. They were handing over real currency for existential dread wrapped in cellophane. Liefeld, meanwhile, wasn't dealing in philosophy. He was dealing in yacht fuel. Truly, in the 21st century, even a void can be monetized. 23. The Hardcore Hydration. Mike Cesario looked at the bottled water industry, dominated by images of serene mountains and yoga, and thought, boring. His idea? Canned water, sourced from the Alps, but marketed like a 1980s heavy metal album. He called it Liquid Death. The tagline, Murder Your Thirst. It's sold in tallboy cans, just like beer. It's a masterpiece of branding over substance. Cesario discovered that millennials and Gen Z will happily pay $2 for tap water if the can looks like it belongs at a Slayer concert. The company is now valued at over $700 million. Hydration, it turns out, never sounded so hardcore. 24. The $30 Brick. In 2016, the streetwear giant Supreme, a brand built on artificial scarcity and hype, dropped its most audacious product, a literal red clay brick stamped with the company's logo. The price? $30. It wasn't a metaphor. It wasn't art, or maybe it was. It was a brick, and it sold out instantly. Hype beasts, driven by a brand loyalty that defies logic, camped out for it. On the resale market, the $30 brick fetched over $200. Founder James Jebbia laid one single, perfect brick and built a cathedral of cash around it, proving that his customers won't just buy clothes, they'll buy masonry if it has the right logo. 25. The 24-character gold bar. NFTs, non-fungible tokens, were a brief, insane fever dream where the internet decided JPEGs had monetary value. The peak of this collective mania? Jack Dorsey, the founder of Twitter, selling his very first tweet. The tweet, just setting up my TTR, was 24 characters of digital ephemera. In March 2021, it was auctioned off as an NFT for $2.9 million. A crypto entrepreneur paid the price of a mansion for a link to a tweet. The seller, of course, cashed out. When the buyer later tried to resell it, the market had collapsed, with top bids at a few $1,000s. Sometimes the stupid discovery isn't the product. It's finding the one person willing to pay before the joke lands. 26. The sequel no one asked for. Gary Dahl, the certified genius behind the pet rock, couldn't resist a second act. Decades after his first million, the world had changed. It was the age of tech. So he updated his invention. Enter the USB pet rock. It was, once again, a smooth gray stone, but this time it was glued to a USB cable. What did the cable do? Absolutely nothing. It drew no power. It stored no data. It just sat there. ThinkGeek, the online nerd emporium, sold it as a joke, and it sold out. It proved, once again, that nerds will pay for satire, especially if it comes with a port. It's the same rock, the same joke, just with more wires. 27. The sound of stupid. In 2008, the Apple App Store was new, a digital frontier. And into this frontier rode Joel Comm, with an idea that captured the very essence of humanity: farts. His app, iFart, was a simple soundboard of flatulence noises. That's it. It did nothing else. It launched at $99, and in its first 2 weeks made over $100,000. It became a multi-million-dollar business. While Wall Street was panicking and the global economy was collapsing, Joel Comm's app was blasting a symphony of dumb profitability. It was the ultimate proof that even in a deep recession, toilet humor isn't just stable, it's a growth industry. 28. The digital burden. In 1996, Aki Maita invented a new form of torment. He called it Tamagotchi. It was a tiny, pixelated blob on a keychain that demanded constant attention. It beeped for food. It beeped for love. It beeped when it pooped. It was a digital pet that taught an entire generation of children about anxiety, guilt, and the inevitability of death. Most of them perished from pixel starvation within 48 hours, leaving their tiny owners devastated. But while millions of digital pets met their untimely end, Bondi, the company behind the craze, sold over 80 million units. Their revenue numbers, unlike the pets, grew up just fine. 29. The cardboard casino. Pogs. They were, in fact, just cardboard milk cap discs. That's it. Litter. But in the mid-90s, the World Pog Federation, a real entity, turned these discs into a playground phenomenon. Kids weren't just collecting them. They were gambling with them, using heavy slammers to flip stacks of cardboard. The game was baffling, the prizes worthless. Yet, billions of Pogs were sold. Schools banned them. News anchors reported on the craze. Founder Alan Ripinski, who got the idea from an old Hawaiian game, milked that cow so hard it needed therapy. He proved that if you print a cartoon skull on it, kids will gamble their lunch money on circular trash. 30. The Feline Pyramid Scheme. CryptoKitties were not a joke, they were a problem. In 2017, these virtual cartoon cats, which live, breathe, and reproduce on the Ethereum blockchain, became so popular they clogged the entire network, grinding multi-billion-dollar crypto transactions to a halt. People were paying real money, sometimes six-figure sums, for rare digital felines with laser eyes. The developers at Dapper Labs discovered two essential truths. 1. Scarcity is optional if you can code it, and 2. Investors will mortgage reality for a cartoon animal. It was Beanie Babies 2.0, but this time you couldn't even put the cat in Tupperware. It didn't exist. 31. Such riches. Very wow. This one began as a pure, uncut meme. In 2013, software engineers Billy Marcus and Jackson Palmer decided to mock the self-serious world of cryptocurrency. They took the code for Bitcoin, slapped a picture of a confused Shiba Inu dog on it, typed Doge in Comic Sans, and Dogecoin was born. It was a joke. Then, the internet decided the joke was real. Fueled by memes and Elon Musk's tweets, the joke coin, which has an infinite supply, hit a market cap of $90 billion in 2021. That's more than the value of Ford or Kraft Heinz. We are living in a financial Mad Lib, and the winning word is Doge. 32. The Rage Machine. Sometimes, the stupid discovery is that anger monetizes better than joy. In 2013, Vietnamese developer Dong Nguyen created Flappier. Oh. Be bird in Avian. It was a simple 8-bit game with one mechanic. Tap the screen to make a bird flap between green pipes. It was also, famously, impossible. The game induced a global wave of phone-hurling rage, and it became a phenomenon. At its peak, the free game was earning Nguyen $50,000 a day from in-game ads. The success and the angry feedback became too much. Nguyen pulled the game, claiming it was too addictive. He killed the golden goose, but not before it laid a solid gold egg. 33. The Digital Carrot. Farmville was not a game. It was a chore. It was a series of appointments. Zynga's masterpiece, which lived on Facebook, turned millions of adults into virtual sharecroppers. The gameplay involved planting digital carrots and waiting, in real time, for them to grow. Or, you could pay real money to speed up your imaginary crops. And people did. By the billions. Over $1 billion in microtransactions by 2011. Farmville weaponized impatience and social pressure. Help, my friend needs water. While actual farmers prayed for rain, Zynga's founders were paying for their Ferraris with virtual corn. 100% yield, 0% nutrition. 34. The Suburban Skinner Box. If Farmville was a chore, Candy Crush Saga is a weapon. King Digital didn't just make a game. They perfected a psychological trap. They weaponized boredom. The game is a match-3 puzzler, simple enough for anyone. But it's calibrated with vicious precision. It gives you just enough wins to feel skilled, then hits you with an impossible level. Unless you pay $99 for a few extra moves. Commuters, housewives, and executives alike, all trapped in a dopamine loop, paid up. At its peak, the game earned $6 million per day. Swapping digital gumdrops was funding real-world penthouses. Dentists worldwide wept. No cavities required. 35. The Avian ATM. The birds are angry. The pigs are. Pigs. The physics are questionable. That's the entire premise of Angry Birds. In 2009, Finnish developer Rovio created a simple game. Use a slingshot to hurl cartoon birds at rickety structures containing green pigs. It was simple, satisfying, and cost $0.99. It became the most downloaded app of all time. But the real genius wasn't the game. It was the merchandising. Rovio milked the franchise dry, turning their digital poultry into plush toys, breakfast cereals, theme parks, and 2 feature films. The birds stayed angry. The accountants stayed ecstatic. The $7 billion franchise proved that revenge sells, especially when gravity is optional. 36. The earworm that ate the world. Baby Shark, do, 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 do. It's in your head now. You're welcome. This children's campfire song, repackaged by the South Korean company Pinkfong, is not just a song. It's a psychological operation. The repetitive, mind-numbing melody and bright, simple video became the first YouTube video to surpass 10 billion views. That's more views than there are humans on Earth. Pinkfong monetized this global earworm into an ocean of merchandise, live shows, and a TV series. One repetitive prehistoric predator became a modern ATM that never stops chomping on royalties. A feeding frenzy indeed. 37. The $2 Million Giggle. In the mid-2000s, before smartphones, the ringtone was a status symbol, and the king of this bizarre market was a 17-second audio loop of a baby cackling. It was known as the Laughing Baby. Swedish creator Eric Vernquist uploaded the sound, and it spread like a virus. People paid money, often $2.99, to have a baby scream from their Nokia flip phones during business meetings. The sound was abrasive, unprofessional, and deeply strange. It netted Wernquist over $2 million in downloads. Corporate productivity died a tiny death with every incoming call, but Wernquist's bank account grew up very, very fast. 38. The Greatest Thing. Before 1928, bread was sold in whole loaves. Slicing it was a domestic chore. Otto Frederick Rohwedder had a solution, a machine that sliced the entire loaf at once. He was mocked, laughed out of bakeries. Who needs that? It's lazy. But Rohwedder persisted. His first bread-slicing machine was installed in Chillicothe, Missouri. Housewives, suddenly liberated from the tyranny of uneven slices, went wild for it. It revolutionized the industry. Wonder Bread and its competitors built empires on this one innovation. The phrase, "the greatest thing since sliced bread," exists for a reason. And that reason is that we are fundamentally a very lazy species. 39. The Wizard Robe. The Snuggie was not a blanket. It was a cultural moment. In 2008, this simple, sleeved fleece robe was marketed not as a robe, but as the blanket with sleeves. Infomercials depicted families wearing them like a cozy, dysfunctional cult, high-fiving at sporting events and reading books. Critics mocked it. Saturday Night Live parodied it. And the company laughed while counting over $500 million in sales. It was a bathrobe, plain and simple, but by calling it a Snuggie, it gave millions of people permission to give up on dressing like adults. It was peak capitalism, a blanket cult with its own jingle. 40. The Rubber Waffle. Crocs began as a humble, squishy boating shoe designed to drain water and grip a wet deck. They were functional. They were also, by any objective measure, hideous. They looked like melted rubber waffles, or perhaps a Dutch clog that had been tragically inflated. People mocked them. Then they tried them on, then they bought them. Then they bought them in 12 different colors. The company exploded, turning its founders into billionaires. They are the most successful ugly footwear since medieval times. Comfort, it seems, has a unique power to conquer shame. And it's a very, very profitable power. 41. The Neon Bear Trap. Remember slap bracelets? In the 90s, they detonated across wrists in every classroom like tiny, spring-loaded bear traps. The invention story is perfect. Stuart Anders, a high school shop teacher, was fiddling with a piece of steel measuring tape. He wrapped it in neon fabric. Snap. The bracelet was born. Kids loved the violent, satisfying sound. Teachers hated them. Schools banned them, and that, of course, only made them cooler. Anders sold 28 million units, sipping umbrella drinks while teachers worldwide suffered PTSD from the constant thwack of spring steel on bone. Detention, it seems, never paid so well. 42. The $4 Mood Stabilizer. The 1970s were the me decade, a time of self-exploration and thermochromic stones. The mood ring, created by Joshua Reynolds and Maris Ambatz, was a $4 gimmick that promised to read your complex human emotions. It was a cheap liquid crystal, laminated under a quartz dome that simply reacted to your hand's temperature. Spoiler, it mostly measured hand sweat, but people believed. They wore it, convinced a murky green stone meant they were anxious and a blue one meant calm. The inventors sold 2 million in just 3 months. Apparently, sweaty, gullible, optimism is a lucrative market. 43. The Chalice of Academia. The red Solo cup. It's not just a cup. It's an icon. It's the symbol of every backyard barbecue and every regrettable college decision. The Dart Container Corporation didn't invent it specifically for beer pong, but once college kids discovered its thick, sturdy plastic, its perfect bounce angle, and its unintentional 1-ounce measuring lines, its fate was sealed. The company's profits foamed over. Annual sales top 1 billion units. Who knew that legions of undergraduates, flunking calculus and sociology, would inadvertently solve the equation for liquid gold? It's the official chalice of American debauchery, and it's a billion-dollar business. 44. The Narcissists Wand. The selfie stick is, at its core, an aluminum rod that screams, "I have no friends available to hold my phone." It is the physical manifestation of digital age narcissism. Canadian inventor Wayne Fromm patented his QuickPod in 2005, long before selfie was a word. For years, it languished. Then, smartphones and Instagram took over the world. Suddenly, tourists everywhere needed to be in the photo with the Eiffel Tower. The stick exploded. Fromm's bank statements began to look like extended-arm photos, ridiculously, absurdly long. Over 300,000 units sold in the first month of the craze alone. 45. The Pre-Emptive Strike. For centuries, the bathroom experience was unpleasant. Then, Susie Batiste had an idea. What if, instead of masking the odor after the event, you trapped it before? Pourri, a spray of essential oils, promised to create a force field on the toilet water surface. Betas filmed a cheeky viral ad starring a prim British woman declaring, "Our business is to make it smell like your business never even happened." Humanity collectively clicked add to cart. The company has flushed past $500 million in sales. Batiste proved that embarrassment is a powerful motivator, and that flatulence, when properly marketed, can smell exactly like passive income. 46. The Unicorn Stool. This story combines gastroenterology with mythical creatures. The Squatty Potty is a simple, C-shaped plastic footstool that tucks under your toilet. It claims to optimize bathroom posture by aligning the colon, based on the correct biological premise that humans are designed to squat, not sit. It was a medical-adjacent product until the company released a viral ad featuring a prince, a rainbow, and a unicorn defecating ice cream. The ad was bizarre, hilarious, and unforgettable. Sales exploded. The company flushed past $175 million. The lesson: combine biological necessity with rainbow soft-serve visuals, and investors will gladly sit down for the ride. 47. The Perverse Dumbbell. The Shake Weight. It was an exercise device that looked like it had escaped from a late-night sketch comedy show. It was a dumbbell with springs, designed to be held and shaken using dynamic inertia. The resulting motion was suggestive, deeply, comically suggestive. It became an instant punchline for every comedian and talk show host. And every joke was free advertising. The company, fueled by infomercials showing stone-faced actors vigorously shaking the device, earned $50 million in its first 6 months. Satirists got endless material. Buyers got questionable triceps. And the inventors got beachfront property. Everybody shook, Some just got paid. 48. The Polished Rock. Gwyneth Paltrow's lifestyle brand, Goop, is a master of selling pseudoscience to the wealthy. Its crowning achievement: the $120 Goop Jade Egg. This polished rock, Paltrow's team claimed, could be inserted to provide yoni energy, pelvic enlightenment, and a host of other unproven, mystical benefits. Doctors and gynecologists howled in protest, warning of infection and toxic shock syndrome. Goop was eventually sued for false advertising, but not before they moved 300,000 units. They didn't just sell the rock, they sold a secret. Talk about a mineral deposit. Shareholders rolled in money while doctors just rolled their eyes. 49. The Golden Retrieval. This is the story of Matt Boswell, a man who became a millionaire by picking up dog poop. No, really. His company, the Pet Butler, is a pooper-scooper service. His employees walk onto lawns and scoop what others won't. It's a dirty job, but one that suburban America will gladly pay for. People are willing to shell out real, recurring subscription fees for the privilege of not having to touch their golden retriever's golden leftovers. It's disgusting. It's mundane. And it's brilliant. Boswell identified a task everyone hates and capitalized on it, proving that where there's muck, there's brass. 50. The K9 Paparazzi Shield. We end where absurdity meets vanity. Doggles are sunglasses. For dogs. That's not a typo. Ronnie DiLullo, noticing her own dog squinting in the sun, decided that pets deserved high-fashion eyewear. She designed and patented tiny, goggle-style sunglasses for canines. And people bought them. Thousands of owners have spent real money on canine fashion, convincing themselves their pet needs UV protection. They don't, really. Or just wanting a hilarious Instagram photo. Somewhere, there's a golden retriever who simultaneously hates the paparazzi and his owner's spending habits. It's the perfect pointless capstone on a mountain of lucrative nonsense. The verdict. The screen fades to black, but the cash register keeps ringing. What have we learned from this neon-lit graveyard of common sense? We've witnessed the alchemy of the absurd, where failure isn't just an option. It's a prerequisite for a billion-dollar adhesive. We've seen kitsch conquer taste, proving that a singing rubber fish or a plastic flamingo can, and will, out-earn high art every single time. Why? Because high art asks you to think. Kitsch just asks for your credit card. We've charted the rise of the genius grifter, the new high priests of capitalism who understand a fundamental truth. You don't need a product to make a fortune, you just need a label. You can sell air, you can sell water, you can sell an empty box, you can sell a brick. The product is irrelevant. The audacity is the asset. We plunged into the digital abyss, a place where pixelated pets teach us grief, where virtual carrots demand real money, and where a joke about a dog becomes more valuable than a car company. It's a world where a 17-second baby giggle can build a house and a fart app can weather a global recession. This isn't a glitch in the system. This is the system. We are a species that craves meaning, yet simultaneously pays premiums for digital emptiness and rocks. We are terrified of our own biology, so we buy footstools that promise mythical bowel movements and sprays that declare our waste non-existent. We are so consumed by our own image that we buy sticks to photograph ourselves and sunglasses for our dogs. Perhaps the joke isn't the pet rock. The joke is us. We are the punchline. These 50 stories aren't anomalies. They are the operating manual for modern capitalism. They are the proof that the line between visionary and lunatic isn't a line at all. It's a dollar sign. The market doesn't reward brilliance. It rewards audacity. It rewards the person willing to look at a sleeved blanket, call it a Snuggie, and not laugh. So, the next time you have an idea so profoundly stupid that you're afraid to say it aloud, patent it, package it. Film an infomercial. Because in this grand, chaotic casino, the most ridiculous bet is often the only one that pays. The American dream isn't dead. It just looks a lot like a rubber fish, smells like a goop candle, and costs 3 easy payments of $19.99. Good night, and good luck.